Good morning, good evening or afternoon, depending on which part of the world you're from. Today I'm going to be using these beautiful mould, which I bought from Pouring a Heart Out, to make heart pendants. I'm going to be using 360 plus epoxy, part A and part B, with a 2:1 ratio. Make sure you check your resins, as all resins are different. I'm going to be using either a plastic stirrer, silicone stirrer, or paddle pop sticks. Paddle pop sticks are great. They're disposable. You can throw them straight out in the bin, or you can use paper towel and you can clean them up and reuse them over and over and over again until they need throwing out. Also, paper cups are fantastic for using resin with. Easy to squish them to pour, as you'll see later on when I'm actually pouring. A mini blowtorch is also fantastic. You need to get all your air bubbles out at the end of pouring. I'm also going to have on hand baby wipes because this stuff gets very messy. Please wear gloves and protective gear. It's got a strong odour, some of these resins, not all of them. Paper towel is great to have on hand. I also have a mini weight or scale, whatever you want to call it. You can use that to measure out your resins, or if you're using measuring cups, you can do them via measuring cups, which I have done here. Mine is silicone. I've got part A already poured out, which I use 60 mils of, and part B I have used 30 mils, so it's the 2:1 ratio. I'm going to pour it into my paper cup. So I'm going to start with part A, pouring it all in there, and then make sure you get it all out. So I've grabbed my paddle pop stick here and I'm squeezing out as much as possible, scraping down the sides, getting everything out. Bear with me while I do this. Once you've got it all mixed together, part A and part B, you need to stir it really well. At first it's going to be milky and streaky when you start stirring it, but you need to stir it for approximately 5 minutes or until it is completely clear liquid again. Try not to stir too fast because it creates a lot of bubbles if you do that, but while stirring, make sure you scrape the sides quite often, making sure that you get the whole entire resin mixed together properly. Otherwise you're going to have problems when it tries to set. It's not going to set or cure properly. So mix well. I'll do this for a second or two, and then when I'm done we'll go on to the next part, so bear with me. Okay, so I'm almost done. Scraping down the sides again. It's time consuming, but if you don't do this correctly, you're going to have problems. Stirring, scraping down the sides, stirring over and over until it's completely clear enough. So I'll probably just start checking shortly. Give me a second. Yeah, it's starting to look clear. Almost done. Once it's ready, you got to make sure you got everything handy because a lot of resins start to cure pretty quick, depending on the resin you've chosen, and you don't want to start setting while you're in the middle of making your molds. So I'm just scraping down as much as I can get off my stick so that I don't waste any, and then I'm going to wipe it dry with the paper towel so I can reuse the stick over and over. Okay, that's done. Okay, that's done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to slowly pour my mixed resin into the molds, filling them almost up. As you can see, if you squish the paper cup in, it is so much easier to get like a pouring lip to pour it into the moulds. Fill each mould up almost the top, probably about 1mm or 2 from the top, so that you can pour in your alcohol inks at the end of it and not overflow it. So I'm just going to pour it in there. Just bear with me at the moment while you're waiting. Oops, sorry, I spilt a bit on the edge, so I'm just scraping it off. Very time consuming, but most of the time these are so worth it at the end of for the results. Almost done. Okay, I think that might be about it. Just going to scrape the stuff off the side, put it back in the container so I don't waste it. Now, I think I've poured a bit too much in some of them, so I'm just taking some back out and putting it back into the cup because I can reuse that. So if it hasn't started setting, I can reuse it. Now, at the end of pouring in my inks, there could be room to put more resin in, so I may put some more in at the end. And then if there's any left over, I will probably put it into a smaller mould and make up little small things so I'm not wasting it. And now I'm going to start using my alcohol inks, which I have purchased these particular ones from Diamond Clouds. So the first colour I'm using is my black one, and I'm just going to randomly drop black ink throughout the heart mould. Be careful not to squeeze too hard because, oh, hang on a minute, I forgot to torch it, so I'm just torching just to try and get any bubbles out before I start. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, I pour a couple of drops into each one, being careful not to over squeeze it that it comes pouring out, because you just want the inks drops just to sit at the top of your resin, because the white ink that you use at the end of it is the ink that will sink it to the bottom. So I'm just randomly placing some black ink dots everywhere for my first step. So bear with me again. Okay, so now I'm putting in my second colour. Also just going to be randomly placing them everywhere. This is blue. That's a lovely blue too, by the way. I have quite a few different shades of each colour, different blues, different yellows, different pinks, different reds. Diamond Clouds has quite a range of different coloured inks. They also have a lot of other stuff as well, like UV resins and moulds, the whole lot. Be sure to check them out. The link will be below. By the way, I'll also place a link down below for, you know, my moulds, my resin, my inks, and whatever else that I have used here that, you know, you might be able to get a hold of. So be sure to check them out. Now I'm going to place my third colour, which is a red one that I'm using. And I've just noticed also the blue ink went straight in and straight to the bottom. So I'm not sure how this one's going to turn out when I finish making these, but we'll wait and see. Hopefully it turns out nice, but yeah, the entire blue has sunk straight to the bottom. See how we go. The black seems to have held up, and so far the red also. But yeah, the blue has sunk to the bottom, unfortunately. Just a little bit more of the red. Gee, I hope these turn out nice. I don't know, first time doing it, so fingers crossed, everybody. Fingers crossed. Actually, I got my fingers and toes crossed. Now, I'm just going to, because some of the ink did drop with the blue, I'm just going to very gently use my toothpick here and slowly stir the inks a little bit together, being careful not to drop the inks that are on top. So I'm not pushing in deep into the resin, I'm just swirling at the top. Very gently, very slowly, and very carefully. I don't think I've dropped the other inks by doing this. It looks pretty stable at the top there still. See how we go. Won't know until the end, when it's all cured, to see what's happened. Alrighty, so I'm just getting my Pinata White. I'll also put the link in below as to where I got this one, as it's a bigger jar, so it's much better. I've poured it into a little tiny bottle that's easier to squeeze out. Just be careful, because it is alcohol in it, it comes out pretty fast. So just very gently pour a couple of drops onto each one. If you watch the reaction, it's so mesmerizing as it reacts with the other inks. So the white apparently is a heavier ink, so that's why it's able to drop the other inks and work its magic. So I've just put basically roughly 3 drops in each mould. Put the lid back on so it doesn't run out. And I'm going to get the stick again, and I'm going to do what I did before. I'm just going to very gently stir and swirl the white into the colours, being careful not to force it down, let it do its own dropping. So I'm just going to do that, so bear with me for a bit. Be careful not to poke your mould and destroy your mould at the same time. And don't push down into the resin, just gently stir at the top there. I'm doing different swirling motions in each heart for a different effect, hopefully, at the end. So quiet here today. My kids are quiet. I think they've slept in. Can hear the birds twerping a little bit in the background. It's 10 AM here on a Sunday morning. What time is it in your area? Where are you from? Don't forget to comment if you like what I'm doing, don't like what I'm doing, if there's something I'm doing wrong, or if there's something better I can do, or if there's something that you want me to do a video of. I'm happy to research it and give it a go. I don't just do resin, I do a lot of different DIY crafts. I teach how to use silhouette machines, heat presses, mink machines, a bit of everything. So be sure to subscribe and like my videos and keep an eye out constantly, because there will be more and more videos added as I've just started my channel. So this is my very first video. I hope you enjoy and look out for lots more. Gee, I hope these turn out nice at the end of all this. Okay, so I'm just topping up now with the leftover resin to make sure that my moulds are full enough, because you don't want them to be dipped in at the end of it when they've cured. So I'm just trying to make them as full as they can be. I think that might be it, maybe just a tad more here. Yeah, I think that looks like it should be good. Now I'm just going to give it a very, very gentle swirl with the resin that I just put in there, just so it mixes in and it's not on its own. Okay, I think we're pretty good now. I'm just going to just add probably just a tiny bit more white so that that resin I just stuck in there fully mixes in. Give me a moment. Just putting a most tiny little bit into each one, just so that all that last resin that I've stuck in gets mixed in as well. Hopefully I'm not overdoing it, but we'll see at the end. Okay, and then I'll give that another little mix in with my stick as well. Very gently, as to not push it and force it down as I want it to do it itself, to see what creation it will come up with by not being forced down by me. Because that's what the white ink does. It does its own creation with the other inks, and it helps sink it. So I kind of struggle a lot with a lot of the stuff that I do. I've had an accident, and so therefore most of my videos you'll either just see mostly my right arm doing stuff, or my kids might be actually doing the stuff for me, depending on how I'm feeling on the day. But crafting, all crafts, is something I love doing. It's therapeutic as well. Just cleaning up any kind of mess I've got before it dries. I think it looks pretty good with what I've got so far. No, maybe just add another dribble. Looks a little bit low. Just using the stick to put it in so that we don't get an overflow. Almost done. Hope everyone's got some nice things planned for their day. Or if it's evening for you guys, or afternoon, happy winding down for the day, or have a good night's rest. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my videos. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Don't know if you can hear that noise in the background. One of my kids has finally woken up and is playing his Xbox. Okay, I think I'm done now. I'm just moving my stuff out of the way, and I'm just going to grab a mould so that I don't waste what resin I do have here. Give me a minute. Just trying to find a mould. Just need a small one because I've only got a little bit of resin left. Okay, I'm going to use, this is my guitar pick one. So it's got normal guitar picks as well as necklace guitar picks. So I'm just going to find some, probably acrylic paint to mix some colours. So I might do 2 colours, go and find 2 colours. Give me a second. Oh, so many to choose from. Which ones should I choose? I think I might go with a brown and maybe white colour. Let me have a look and see what I can find. Yep, I'm going to go with brown and white. These are acrylic paints. They work well with my resins. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to pour half of what I have left into my other cup. And then I'm going to add just a tiny bit of each colour into the cup. So just a dab of brown and then just a dab of the white. Then I'm going to mix well into the cups before pouring it into the mould. Just got to open this one, it hasn't been used yet. Okay, so just the most tiny little bit of white into the cup. And I had the most tiniest little bit of brown into the other cup. And now I'm just going to stir and stir and stir until it's fully mixed in. Don't know if you could see that properly there being white, but yeah, stir until it's mixed in. Make sure you scrape down the sides and it's not streaky, so it's fully mixed in. That looks good. So now I'm just going to stir, see the tiny little dot? Now I'm just going to stir in the brown, mixing it well, stirring, scraping the sides, and it's pretty good. So once that's done, then I'm going to take the paddle pop sticks out, scrape them off, wipe them down so I can reuse them. So I try to lay them down on the silicone mat because resin doesn't stick to it. So when it's fully dried, you can just peel off the hard resin from the silicone because it doesn't stick to silicone. See, now I squished my 2 colours together and I'm just going to mix them randomly into each of the moulds to get different effects on each guitar pick. So bear with me while I pour out until I've got none left. Oh, gee, they look pretty, the colour. So I'm just like pouring, you know, brown in one end and white in the other and letting them blend. And then I might swap the cups around in each hand and do the same thing so it's different colour on the other ends. And I'll just keep doing it different swirls and different ends with the colours until all the mix is gone and they look different each one. You know, someone might just pour all white down the bottom, then pour brown on top, and then a bit more brown on top of that. See how I go to see what effect I get. So you don't really know what effect you get with anything until they've cured because resin works magic and every piece comes out different and unique. Sometimes you put it in the way you want it to look and it doesn't come out that way. It comes out totally different and better. Like I said, each piece is unique. So I'm new to this and I absolutely love it. I wish I didn't found it because I just like addicted. So again, if you want this kind of mould, as you'll see what they look like when they come out, be sure to go to Pouring Your Heart Out. I think they're based in Queensland. She's the one that sells these moulds. They're here in Australia and their moulds are absolutely beautiful. Well put together. Her name's Julie Cuts. She's a wonderful lady. She's got her own YouTube channel called Pouring Your Heart Out, and she has some fantastic videos there. If you want to watch any, go see her channel as well. So this mould is on my top 10 list. It's a great mould. It cleans well if you look after it. With cleaning your moulds to some warm soapy water, let it soak for about 5 minutes in warm soapy water and then gently wash it out with a soft sponge and then let it dry on its own. Do not dry it with a towel or anything like that. And before using moulds, if it's got any dust or anything in there, you can just use like packing tape and just dab it until it all comes off. It's pretty good. Almost done with the leftover resin. Oh, I can't wait. Also, when you finish pouring your moulds, don't just let them sit there for the 6 hours or whatever. Cover them over with some sort of box or container or something, because you'll get a lot of like air particles, dust and stuff like that that may fall on it throughout the curing process, and whatever falls on it will stick to it and you'll notice it. It's also the same with your moulds. Try not to put fingerprints inside the moulds before you use them, because your resin picks up everything. It's going to show fingerprints if you've got a fingerprint inside your mould, or dust or dirt. Anyway, I've got everything out that I can get out for this. No more resin left. Evening everybody, morning, night, whichever it is in your country. Just back here now to reveal the outcome of these moulds that I did early this morning. It's been roughly 10 hours since they were done, so plenty of time to cure. Hopefully they turned out with that blue dropping last night, so I'm a bit worried about that, but we'll see how we go. So this is what the back looks like. A bit hard to see on the video. I'm not out in some bright lights unfortunately, but I think you can sort of see what they look like, hopefully. That was the hearts, and these were the outcome of the leftover resin that I did with the acrylic paints with the brown and white for the guitar picks. I think they turned out pretty cool, don't you? Awesome. Alrighty, so let's start demolding. Start with these guitar picks. Pretty easy to get out of the mold with the guitar picks. Oh, they look pretty awesome, don't you think? Both sides, actually. Not sure which one I like the most. Can you see that? These are awesome. So I do things like this if I make some particular project and I've got leftovers. Why waste it when you can make other things with your smaller molds? So cool, so cool. Kind of think though that this mold is probably a bit thick for a guitar pick, but anyways. I'm loving these colours. Comment below what you think of the brown and white colours. if you like it, if you don't like it, what you thought of the oh, by the way, this is not this particular one, but the next three I'm going to pull out. They're actually guitar necklaces, not just guitar picks. So they have indented a little pattern. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but let's see if you can get a view of what I'm getting at. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little hand in there. So much different looking at it straight away, other than on the computer here on the camera you can't quite see it properly, but I'll show you the mould. You might be able to see what I'm talking about when I finish pulling them all out. This one also has another shape. It's different to the last one I just showed you. I don't know if you can see that there. Very hard to see in the particular light I've got. I have to start when I get further into doing these YouTube channels, maybe some better lighting, better camera, etc. This is also another one. It's a bit of a sun shape. I don't know if you can quite see that, but I'm getting a bit of a glare in there too with the lights, but you can sort of just see it in there. In person you can see it crystal clear, but they're the shapes that that are actually in those pics that you can see. You know, you got your sun and your words and then your fingers. You got them in two different shapes of pics as well. But they're like necklaces, so you can, or you can use them as a key ring as well. Now for the hearts. These look pretty cool already just from the back. Let's start demolding them and see what it looks like on the other side. Fingers crossed. Just got to jiggle it a little bit until it comes loose and then pull it out gently. So that's what the back looks like, if you can see that in the light. Now for the front in a second. How cool does that look? That's the back. Alrighty, so let's turn it over. Oh, how so pretty. But yeah, as you can see, the blue sunk and it's gone straight through the center there, unfortunately. The rest of that necklace, I can't show you just how well it turned out. When I get a chance to, I'll take some proper photos of what the rest of it looks like, because it's absolutely stunning. But leave it with me. These aren't going to be a waste. I'll see what I can come up with to, you know, make them look pretty damn good. Mistake and all. So it's the back of the second one. Yeah, I got a feeling they're going to be all the same. Yeah, here's the same. Blues drop straight down to the centre. I don't know if you can see that. It's dipped a little hole into it where it's come out. Blue's gone straight through. I will come up with some other idea. So with resin, it's hit and miss. You might get a lot of projects that turn out just fantastic, and then you'll get some that will fail like this. It's just the ink. Some inks are good, some aren't. If you use too much or you don't use enough, it's every time you do it's different. Yep, that one failed as well. Damn. So I just need to get them in the sun so you can actually see the rest of it, just how gorgeous it turned out, because you can't see it at all in this video, the technique that happened when the white hit the other colours. It turned out fantastic. See that? It's gone straight through the blue, straight through the resin, everything else set except for the blue, and it's gone straight through it. Just make sure you clean your moulds straight away so that it don't stain them. Backs turned out pretty cool though. Unfortunately, the blues didn't. Yeah, that one didn't turn it either. Damn. Anyways, I'll be back with whatever I decide to do with them from here. See you shortly. Hi everyone, I found a way of, I think, fixing up the heart pendants that didn't turn out earlier today. So what I'm going to do, where these holes are, I've scraped them out, didn't have to do too much scraping, and I'm going to fill it with some UV resin and these 3 jars of broken glass pieces that I have. So I've got like a blue colour here, then I've also got a white, and I've also got a black colour. So what you want to do is just add a very fine layer of the UV resin over the first hole. Don't overfill the hole, because if you overfill the hole, once you tip on your broken glass pieces, it's going to push the resin all over your heart, and it's going to stick, and it's going to be very noticeable. So just a light bit of UV, then tip your glass on it, just enough to hold it in place. And then once you've put your glass on top, you're going to also put a thin layer over top of that before you put them under your UV lamp. So that's my first layer. I'm just going to put these pieces that I have laying around on my mat on top so I don't waste them. And then I'll add the ones from the jar. So we'll start with my blue one. So they're the blue pieces. I hope these turn out nice. Promising, I think. So I just pour a bit on here, make it how I want it to look. You don't want to go overboard, and if it goes everywhere, you just scrape off where you don't want it to sit on your heart. So I just scrape off the little excess pieces that's fallen down on the heart and sort of shape it up a bit. If you get any run of UV resin, get it now, because once it goes under the UV lamp, it sets pretty quick. If you get a good UV resin, it works really well. So I'm just going to put a little thin layer over the top, and that will just set all these little glass pieces in place once you put them under the UV light. So these are starting to look good already, and they're not even finished. So don't always throw away projects that don't work out, because you may come up with some other idea to make them look really good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start on the other ones, and I'll come back to you when they're finished. So these are all set and ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick them underneath the UV lamp now, and just let it work its magic. Like I said before, because it is not just a clear resin on its own, you've got the glass and you've got the heart, etc. You're going to need to put it under a few times just so that it will set properly. So, the regular 1 to 2 minutes is for normal stuff when you've got a little bit of resin, a little bit of UV resin, and, clear moulds and stuff. But this has got your heart, and it's got the crystal, the glass pieces, whatever you want to call them, and your resin. So for it to get to it properly, you need to do it a few times. Also, if you stick your little silicone cups and your silicone utensils underneath the UV lamp that you've used, When it's been under there for about a minute or two, you can pull that out, and then the glue, the resin, will just pop straight out. Easy way to clean. No fuss. Well guys, this is the final result. They turn out absolutely stunning. I will get a proper photo of them, what they look like out in the sun, so that you can see them properly. So this is it. They turn out fantastic. So don't always throw out your projects that don't turn out, because sometimes there's a way that you can fix them and they turn out even better. Thanks for watching guys. Please like and subscribe and share.